Hey folks, Nathan here from the Star Wars Timeline Gold at StarWarsFanWorks.com/timeline, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology document available anywhere. And from Star Wars Beyond the Films and Cloud City Casino, both Star Wars podcasts, the latter of which is focused on gaming, which you can find at StarWarsReport.com. We're taking a look here at Star Wars Destiny. In this little teeny tiny playlist, you've seen a look at the contents of the Rey starter set and the Kylo Ren starter set for Star Wars Destiny Awakenings, the first set. Again, this is a different business model that they're dealing with for Fantasy Flight Games, so the whole point of this video is a thought on the way that the game plays and the business model associated with it, okay? As far as how the game plays, it is very fast-paced, but doesn't seem to be particularly deep. What you're seeing here are cards based more around attacking the other side than they are about strategy otherwise. There's not some broader thing like the objectives you need to do in the Star Wars LCG or the missions you can do in the LCG, the scenarios that you could use in X-Wing or Armada and such. It is a very straightforward, kick the other guy's ass kind of game. And it's relatively quick because the size of a deck in the starters are 20 cards plus your battlefield and 2 heroes, or in a regular game, there's your heroes, the battlefield, and then 30 cards in a customized deck, which, if you completely run out of cards in your deck and in your hand, will cause you to lose the game. So, while it is a matter of deck management to a degree, it's a game that should move relatively quickly. A round consists of each player going back and forth, taking one action each time. It's not something where you're going to see one player play a whole bunch of cards and do a whole bunch of things at once, and then the other side gets to go. Instead, it's I take an action, you take an action, 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 back and forth until both sides have passed, or one side has claimed the battlefield and the other side has passed, because whoever claims the battlefield is basically automatically passing after that point, and then that round is over, the next round starts, and you only get resources, unless you have something that happens with a card or a die, you only get those resources as 2 each time a new round's about to start in the upkeep phase. So it tends to be a fairly fast-paced game, but it's basically combat, direct combat, not a heavy amount of depth, at least not compared to some of the other Fantasy Flight games, at least not at this point, and it tends to be something you just kind of pick up and play. You don't need a whole lot of intricate detail on how to play. I mean, the whole set of rules is on a front side and back side of basically one oversized fold-out sheet of paper here, rather than needing a booklet. There is a playmat. Personally, I don't see a need for the playmat for this game, but it's because I'm not going to be playing it much. And that brings us back sort of to the aspect that this is a collectible, customizable game, unlike the customizable other models used for other games for Fantasy Flight games. Now, miniatures games, yes, you're going to buy a new ship or a new pair of ships at a time. That's kind of the norm. But unlike the norm for card games, Fantasy Flight Games has been really good and really consumer-friendly. And they've got a thing called the Living Card Game, or LCG model. And that's what their Star Wars The Card Game deals with. So in that case, every time you buy a product, whether it's a large expansion, whether it's a force pack, whether it's a starter set, you're always getting exactly the same cards. There's no guesswork and no blind boosters to spend a ton of money on hoping to get good cards to be able to play. I have praised the hell out of Fantasy Flight Games for many of their consumer-friendly choices, and especially in the case of the LCG model versus collectible card games, because I used to be a big CCG, TCG guy, and it drives me nuts buying blind boosters and constantly getting the same shit over and over again that I don't need, hunting for the one card that I do until I finally wind up having to pay exorbitant prices on eBay or elsewhere to get that one card I really need. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of dollars I dropped on the Star Wars CCG back when I was in, I guess it was high school and maybe early college. Okay, so to me, the LCG has been a fantastic model. It is cost effective, it gets you what you need, everybody who buys the same products are on the same playing field, and you can customize thoroughly. This game goes back to the collectible or CCG, TCG type of model, meaning you get starter sets that have the exact same cards every time, $15 each, that's these. Beyond that, you're buying blind booster packs. $3 each will get you 3 common, 1 uncommon, okay, and then 1 either rare or legendary card. And you can tell them by the colors. You got the little gray here. This is a starter card. It's only available in the starter deck. Blue is common, yellow is uncommon, green is rare, and then there's a purple for legendary, which is probably what Kylo Ren or Finn would be if they weren't stuck into a starter set here. Now, broadly speaking, the way that it works then for $3 is you're going to wind up definitely getting at least one card, in fact, just one card, that will have a die with it, right? So 3 common, 1 uncommon, a legendary or rare, and a legendary or rare is going to be what's going to bring with it a die. But notice I said a die. So, our first issue is that if you look at the Awakenings card list, there are a whole lot of rares and legendaries to collect. If you do the math, you need to basically buy, I want to say it's 3 or 4 boxes of booster packs to have even the remotest chance of maybe getting every card in this game, if that is your goal as a collector, right? They call it collectible, not just customizable, collectible. Well, if you want to collect, good fucking luck, because you're going to need to buy anywhere between 3 and 4 full boxes of boosters and get very, very lucky to get one of each card. A box of boosters, I want to say, is going right now about 80 to 90 bucks, more than that on eBay and such at the moment, just because of the limited print run of this first run having to be done in 4 separate bursts from the distributor. So there's that. That's a whole lot. Or you can go with one of the services where somebody, some company, some group has bought tons and tons of boosters and are putting together pre-made full sets and putting them up for sale. Team Covenant is doing that on their website. You can buy the entire set, basically, of Star Wars Destiny Awakenings for $300. Still, though, $300 is quite a bit. But it's probably more cost-effective than buying a ton of boosters and praying you get what you need to finish your set. That by itself is kind of asinine. It bothers me, and it's part of why I'm not going to be collecting this game, which means I'm probably not going to be playing it that much. It's also customizable. Usually, if I'm playing this, I'm playing with somebody who doesn't also own the game, or any other of the Star Wars games. A lot of times, it's me playing against someone, and we're all playing with my stuff. Well, that's lovely and all, but if you're someone who wants to do that, chances are you're going to wind up with some pretty unbalanced decks, depending on what you get in the booster packs, unless you're using something like the starter that's designed to be balanced. So balance, pretty much thrown off, again, which is the nature of a collectible, customizable card game. That, in and of itself, is rough. That's part of why I'm not into this business model anymore. I wish they'd done the LCG. I think it's not as friendly to the consumers. I think it's just a chase for rarity. I think it's just another instance where you're going to wind up with rare cards marked up to exorbitant prices, and whoever can pay the most to buy the rare shit is going to be the ones who are able to stomp everybody else in the game. It is not a consumer-friendly, or in my opinion, a tournament-friendly model. That said, that is not what pisses me off the most. Notice Kylo Ren. Notice Finn. Sometimes your legendary cards, or rare cards, but in particular legendary cards that you're going to run into, are going to be heroes. And you set up your heroes out of 30 points at the beginning of a game, and you set up your deck with no more than 2 of any one card, with the colors matching at least one of your heroes, so that you can then play and support them as you try to kick the other side's butt. Well, as you get your 30-card deck going, or your 30 points of heroes, you're going to be spending, just like in, say, X-Wing, to build that hero group. Whether it's 1 card, 5 cards, who knows, depends on how much you wind up spending on each. But you notice that a card like Kylo Ren has 2 costs in the bottom left corner. 10 and 13. Finn has 2 costs in the corner. 13 or 16. If you were to get one of them in a starter set, or excuse me, one of them in a booster pack, it would come with 1 die. Well, what do those 2 numbers represent? The one on the left is the cost to play as that hero with 1 die. The one on the right is the cost to play with that hero with 2 die. Basically the way that Rey or Kylo Ren work in the starter sets. In other words, if I were to get a legendary character, like let's say Luke Skywalker, and wanted to make him a showcase of what I was playing, I've been lucky as hell just to get Luke in the first place with 1 die, but to play him to his full potential and use the 2 dice, which is allowed on the card I just got, I gotta get lucky and get him again to get that other die and a useless extra copy of the card. That to me is, as Dennis Miller might put it, exquisite bullshit. So, knowing that even a full set isn't a full set until you have duplicates found in booster packs of all of the higher end characters, so you can have 2 die to play with them as an option instead of just 1 and being hamstrung in your choices, you throw that in with everything else with the collectible model, and this is a game I will not be buying. I will most certainly be playing with the starters because they're balanced and it's a really solid product. But will I be out there buying blind boosters, praying to get the cards I need and praying to get duplicates of rares or legendaries to get enough dice to really have the option to fully play with the heroes? Oh, hell no. I've praised you constantly over the years, Fantasy Flight Games, because your products have been of high quality. This remains of high quality. And I've praised you also for your consumer-friendly business models. That is out the window with this. This business model screws over the players. You could have at least, if somebody got a legendary or rare card, have given them both dice to make full use of that card in a booster pack. But then I guess that's cutting down on the profits of the plethora of booster packs being sold while people are sitting here praying for something they can use. Sorry guys, this game model, I'm out.